Enemies on the Billionaire's Yacht. Part 4. Chapter 19, Zara Overboard. The sun hovered like a blood-orange coin over the horizon as the Aether slipped quietly through the Aegean. The mood on board had changed. After the blackout, the crew promised a sunset reset cruise. Champagne on deck. Live cello quartet. Peach sorbet served in crystal goblets. Zara hadn't wanted to come. But Cassie had insisted. You can't hide forever, Zed. You need to be seen. Alive. Present. And bait, Zara muttered under her breath, slipping into her red halter gown and gold stilettos. She knew someone on board wanted her gone. She just didn't know who. Archer stood near the bow, gripping the rail, face turned toward the setting sun. He hadn't seen her since the blackout. They hadn't spoken. But he felt her, somewhere behind him. That undeniable pull. He turned just in time to catch a glimpse of her at the aft end of the upper deck, silhouetted in scarlet against the fire-colored sky. Their eyes met for one sharp second. Then she disappeared behind a curtain into the private viewing area. That was the last time anyone saw her. 10 minutes later, a junior deckhand named Elias was clearing champagne glasses when he noticed something strange at the railing. One stiletto. Gold. Elegant. Balanced precariously on its side. Beyond it. Nothing. No Zara. Just the quiet lap of water below. He radioed it in. Calm at first. But that calm cracked when no one could find her. Cassie screamed first. Renzo's tablet slipped from his hands. The cameras, which had been live streaming the Golden Hour cruise, cut abruptly. The screen went black. Viewers saw the last image freeze for a split second, Zara walking into the private lounge alone. Then, signal lost. Social media detonated. Where's Zara? Did she fall? Or was she pushed? This is not part of the script, right? Where is Zara? Zara overboard. Within an hour, the hashtag trended in 12 countries. The second he heard her name, Archer ran. He didn't wait for confirmation. He didn't ask what had happened. He didn't care who was watching. He sprinted to the deck's edge, tore off his jacket, and without a word, dived straight into the darkening sea. The splash echoed like a gunshot across the deck. Crew rushed to the railing. Cameras tilted wildly. Guests gasped. But he didn't care. Archer swam hard against the current, eyes scanning the waves for any sign of her, red silk, floating gold, a hand. She can't be gone. Not like this. Not after everything. He dove under. Once. Twice. Each time surfacing without her. Zara. No answer. Just the sea. Zara drifted beneath the water, the silk of her gown billowing like crimson smoke. Her leg tangled in a broken rope line, hidden beneath a decorative lifeboat. She hadn't jumped. She hadn't even screamed. She'd been pushed. Hands had come from behind. Fast. Silent. She hit her head as she fell, the world blurring into black and blue and bubbles. She wasn't unconscious, yet. But she was close. A glint of red caught Archer's eye beneath the surface. He dove again, deeper this time. And there she was. Floating. Eyes fluttering. Lips parted. Hair like a flame in the water. He grabbed her waist, yanked the rope free, and kicked hard toward the light. They broke through the surface together, Archer gasping, holding her above the water with one arm. Zara. Zara, stay with me. She coughed, weakly, then choked out a word. Back of the deck. I know. I know. I've got you. A rescue boat reached them within seconds, but to Archer it felt like eternity. As they pulled her from his arms onto the deck, she opened her eyes, barely. You jumped in after me. He nodded, soaked and shivering. First instinct, he whispered. Always you. As the boat rocked gently and the sky faded from gold to indigo, a towel wrapped around her and medics swarmed. Archer sat beside her on the deck, dripping and silent. Jules stood at the far end of the crowd. Watching. Expression unreadable. But for the first time, afraid. Because she hadn't counted on him diving in. And she sure as hell hadn't counted on Zara surviving. Chapter 20, Rescued. Revealed. Reunited. The sea had gone quiet again. Not calm, never calm, but waiting. Like it knew the story wasn't over yet. Zara drifted on a chunk of torn driftwood, her fingers clutched tight around the edges, salt drying on her lips, hair a tangled storm of auburn waves plastered to her face. Her lungs ached from coughing. Her head throbbed from the hit she took on the railing. But her anger, her fury kept her awake. She wasn't supposed to go down like this. Not drowned. Not silenced. And definitely not alone. Archer had never stopped searching. Even after pulling her to the rescue skiff, even after she was taken on board by medics, she had vanished again. The chaos. The sabotage. The crew scrambling to keep guests calm. 1 second she was beside him, wrapped in a silver thermal blanket. The next, gone. No one saw her leave. But he knew her well enough by now. She'd gone off to breathe. Or to explode. Or both. He stood on the starboard side now, scanning the sea with binoculars like a man possessed. And then. There. Just beyond the rocky curve of a nearby cove. A flash of red. A woman on driftwood. He didn't wait. No crew. No announcements. Just Archer. Barefoot. Shirtless. A rope tied to his waist as he dove straight into the water for the second time in a day. The waves were calmer now, but the weight in his chest was not. He swam hard, fast, until he reached her. Zara. She turned her head slowly. Not relief. Not gratitude. Just rage. Took you long enough. He floated beside her, gripping the driftwood, panting. You left the damn medics. I thought. You thought I'd what? Disappear again. Like you did after she stopped herself, voice trembling. Don't you dare act like the hero now, Archer. I dived into the ocean twice for you. Great. And how many times have you lied to me? I didn't lie. I withheld. You ghosted me. You stood there and said nothing when I begged you for the truth. Because I knew once I started talking, I wouldn't be able to stop. She shoved at the driftwood. You don't get to make this romantic now. I'm not trying to. Good. Because I'm not the same girl who stepped on this yacht. I know, he whispered. You're stronger. And I don't deserve you. The silence between them swelled with salt, sweat, and emotion. Then her voice cracked. Then why did you come back? Why did you jump again? His eyes locked with hers, wet and fierce. Because I can't watch you slip away. Not again. Not even once more. A pause. A beat. Then he added, "I'd burn the whole damn ocean if it meant I'd get one more chance with you." She stared at him. Everything hurt. Her throat. Her heart. Her pride. But in that moment, the walls fell. Because love, the real, messy, maddening kind, doesn't wait for perfect timing. She grabbed the collar of his soaked linen shirt. And kissed him. Big. Slow motion. Sunset lit. Their mouths met with fury and fire and every unspoken word between them. His hands came up to cup her cheeks, trembling as he pressed into her like a man drowning, and she let him. The driftwood tipped. The sea rose. But neither of them noticed. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, trembling, soaked to their souls, she looked up at him and smirked. "So, we still pretending this was all a PR stunt?" He laughed. "Only if the next headline says, 'Exposing billionaires, and falling for one.'" She rolled her eyes. But she didn't let go of his hand. Not this time. Chapter 21, The Yacht Mutiny. Morning light spilled golden across the Aegean's upper deck, glinting off the white marble and chrome details as if nothing had happened. Guests lounged by the pool, sipping turmeric cocktails and refreshing their feeds. But inside Suite 3am, Zara stood at her vanity, not to film, not to pose, but to finish what had been started. Archer sat on the edge of the bed behind her, holding a printed dossier. Red flagged transaction logs. Altered live stream metadata. Security bypass signatures. "She's been stealing from every campaign partner," he said, eyes locked on the final page. "And she routed the fraud trail through your creator account. If we hadn't found the backup server." Then when this yacht docked, Zara said, voice ice, "I'd be the one in cuffs." She snapped the file shut. "Let's end this." They found her in the media command room. Jules. Wearing her sleek black designer jumpsuit, fingers flying across her tablet, deleting files, encrypting data, wiping every trace of her existence. She didn't even flinch when they entered. "It's cute," Jules said without turning. "You two back together. Very on brand. Heartwarming." "You're done," Jules, Archer said, stepping forward. "We have the flash drive. We have the logs. And we've already mirrored the hard drives you tried to erase." Jules finally turned, brows raised. "You think anyone's going to believe you over me? A billionaire and his messy ex who can't keep her followers from melting down." Zara stepped forward. "You mean the billionaire you've been robbing blind for 3 years? Who you blackmailed into silence? Who you tried to use me to distract from while you funneled creator payouts into offshore shell accounts?" Jules's smile cracked. "That's not proof." "No," Zara said. "But this is." She slid a sleek silver phone onto the table. It played a recording. Jules's voice, from the night Zara went overboard. "Just push her hard enough. She'll slip. And the cameras will already be cut." Silence. Then a hiss of breath from Jules. "You recorded me. You taught me well," Zara said sweetly. Archer clicked his earpiece. "This is Archer Blake. Put me through to the Coast Guard. Priority 1. We're requesting immediate boarding for a white-collar federal crime, embezzlement, data sabotage, and attempted bodily harm." Within 20 minutes, the Aegean was surrounded by 2 blue and white patrol boats slicing through the sea like sharks. Guests gathered on the deck, wrapped in towels and curiosity. As the authorities boarded, Jules tried to bolt. She didn't make it past the champagne bar. By the time the sun set, the entire story was out. Zara didn't post it. Someone else, a viral clip from a drone that had captured her confronting Jules as the Coast Guard approached. Wind in her hair. Crimson dress billowing. One hand on her hip. It was practically a poster for justice. The headline. Influencer turned investigator takes down yacht hacker in open waters. Zara the hero. Queen of the sea. From fake love to real power. The likes. Exploding. Brand offers. Pouring in. Public opinion. Redeemed. Reclaimed. Revered. She hadn't just survived the yacht. She owned it now. Later that evening, Zara stood on the now quiet deck, watching the sun fall behind a perfect Grecian silhouette. Archer came up beside her. No words at first. Just the shared stillness of two people who'd nearly lost everything, and somehow came back whole. You didn't have to do any of that, she murmured. You didn't have to survive, he said. But you did. Like fire through salt water. She smiled. Slow. Soft. So, what now? He looked out over the waves. Now we rewrite the ending. Chapter 22, The Goodbye That Hurts. The white cliffs of Santorini rose in the distance like a dream she used to have. The Aegean glided into the harbor at sunrise, cutting through the sea like a ghost slipping between worlds. The same ship that had brought her heartbreak, chaos, danger, and him. Zara stood at the stern, suitcase by her side, the salt wind lifting the hem of her linen skirt. She wasn't dressed for drama today, no heels, no lashes, no lipstick. Just quiet. Real. Finally. The dock bustled with tourists and delivery trucks, but to her, it was silent. She didn't look back. Not yet. Archer watched her from the upper deck, arms braced on the railing, heart thudding so loud he could feel it in his teeth. There was a time he would have run. Chased. Begged. But this time. He stood still. Because love, the kind that matters, doesn't always follow. Sometimes, it waits. He clutched a small velvet pouch in one hand. And beside it, a flash drive. Her journal, restored. Her files. Her words. Everything that had ever been hers, returned. No strings. No spin. Just truth. She reached the gangway. Her foot touched the ramp. She paused. But still didn't look back. Cassie was already ahead, waving down a taxi. The city glimmered behind her, bright, open, full of beginnings. She exhaled. And stepped off the yacht. The moment her shoes hit the dock, something fractured in Archer's chest. But he didn't move. 2 hours later, Zara checked into a quiet cliffside boutique hotel with blue shutters and wild bougainvillea climbing the balconies. A soft knock came at the door around noon. A bellhop stood there, holding a sleek black box. Delivery, miss. No return address. She opened it carefully. Inside. Her leather-bound journal, untouched, but bookmarked with a pressed hibiscus. A flash drive labeled simply, Truth. And at the bottom, a ring. The ring. Gold, elegant, simple, the one he'd bought for a fake photo shoot, the one she'd once worn just for show. And now. There was a folded note tucked beside it. One line. In his handwriting. If you ever want forever, I'm anchored. Zara closed the box. Pressed it to her chest. And finally, finally, let herself cry. But it wasn't grief. Not entirely. It was the ache of a heart that had finally been seen, and set free. Chapter 23, The Book Deal. The lobby of Harper and Lennox Publishing House in Soho was a frenzy of florals, champagne bottles, and influencers in cashmere trench coats pretending not to care they were being photographed. But the real star stood barefoot behind the podium in a black silk jumpsuit, sipping ginger tea, and signing copies like a woman who never expected to be here. Zara Summers. #1 New York Times best-selling author. Cover star of Elle Digital's Breakthrough Voices issue. And, surprisingly, still allergic to stilettos. Her memoir dropped quietly at first. She didn't launch with a party. No yacht flashbacks. No clickbait trailer. Just a post. I thought this story was going to ruin me. Instead, it made me real. Here's everything they didn't show you. Fake love, real kiss, out now. The pre-orders were insane. Within 48 hours, it sold out on Amazon. Within 72, it had been translated into 3 languages. And by week 1, Netflix called. The book was raw. Funny. Fierce. It didn't sugarcoat the pain or turn the romance into a fairy tale. Zara told it all. The lie that became love. The kiss that broke the world. The woman she had to become when cameras stopped rolling. Her days were filled with signings and panels and podcasts. Her nights were filled with peace, not parties. She drank peppermint tea now instead of rose. She slept 8 hours. She took herself to dinner in Paris. She didn't post everything. Not anymore. But sometimes, late at night, after the glam came off and the lights dimmed, she scrolled through old DMs, through unread requests. And yes, his name was still there. Archer Blake. He hadn't texted in months. But last week, she noticed the blue check mark blinked again. Typing. Then gone. So, Zara the journalist asked during her Good Morning America interview, what would you say to Archer if he's watching this? The question wasn't on the cue card. She hadn't prepped for it. She took a breath. Smiled. I'd say, thank you. For jumping in. For not finishing the story. And for letting me write the ending myself. Back in her apartment that night, windows open, city glowing, she sat at her desk, journal open, pen tapping thoughtfully. She stared at the inbox. Then typed. Still anchored. No send. Not yet. She smiled. Closed the lid. Sometimes, power is knowing you don't need the fairy tale. But it's nice to know it's still out there, waiting at the dock. Chapter 24, The Wedding Crash. Zara attends a friend's island wedding, only to see Archer there. In a white tux. Handsome. Nervous. Still in love. She walks up to him. He whispers, I bought the yacht. It's yours now. A cove hidden beneath cerulean cliffs. Strings of golden fairy lights shimmered in the sea breeze. A wedding altar framed with olive branches and ivory roses swayed gently on a wooden pier that jutted out into the water. Zara arrived late. Not on purpose. She just couldn't decide if she was ready to see anyone happy like that again. Not after writing her story. Not after rewriting her life. She wore a cream silk slip dress, hair loose, sunglasses oversized. No fanfare. Just her. Quietly powerful. No entourage. No live stream. No Archer. Or so she thought. She stepped onto the reception patio, guests clapping politely as the couple kissed beneath the sunset. That's when she saw him. Archer Blake. At the back of the crowd. White tuxedo. Open collar. Bronze tan. His hair just a little longer than before. A nervous drink in his hand. The same storm behind his eyes. And when he saw her, he forgot how to blink. She didn't hesitate. No theatrics. No fake indifference. She walked toward him with a grace that came not from heels or posture, but from knowing who she was now. When she stopped in front of him, there was silence. Just the hum of the sea. A piano playing faintly somewhere. The clink of champagne. He stared at her like she was still the red-dressed vision from the yacht deck, only more real now. You came, he said softly. So did you, she replied. And I'm guessing this wasn't an accident. He shook his head slowly. Not even a little. He set his drink down. Took something from his pocket. No, it wasn't a ring. Or a necklace. It was a deed. Stamped. Signed. Zara raised a brow. What is that? He looked at her, smiling faintly. I bought the yacht. She blinked. You what? The Aegean. I bought it. Every rivet. Every anchor. Every cursed memory. Why? Because I never want to be trapped by the past again. I want to rewrite it. He took her hand and placed the folded paper in it. It's yours now. She stared at him, stunned. He leaned in, just enough so only she could hear. No strings. No cameras. Just the keys. You turned it into something real. I want you to have it. And what do you get? He smiled, wistful. Almost sad. A second chance, if you'll take it. Behind them, the party continued. But neither of them noticed. Zara clutched the deed in one hand, his fingers in the other. Her heart pounded like the final beat of a love song she thought had already ended. And somehow, in this ridiculous, unbelievable moment, it began again. Chapter 25, Anchor Us Forever. The Aegean shimmered like a dream reborn. A week after the Santorini wedding, Zara stood on the same deck where it had all begun, only now, it was her yacht. Her story. Her ending. And today. A new beginning. Not a wedding. Not yet. But something better. A vow with no cameras, no audience. And yet, somehow, the entire world watching anyway. The couple from the Santorini wedding had insisted on a follow-up cruise to celebrate with friends, and since the yacht was back in Zara's hands, it only made sense to sail into it. The music pulsed. The moon rose. Paparazzi floated in dinghies near the perimeter, flashing lights across the sea like a constellation made just for her. The Aegean's deck had been transformed into a glowing wonderland, ivory curtains, candles in gold lanterns, blush roses spilling from every table. Zara stood barefoot in a pearl-beaded gown, champagne flute in hand, face glowing under fairy lights and Greek stars. Archer was beside her in a soft grey tuxedo, no tie, hair wild from the wind, eyes only for her. Someone, Cassie probably, started it. Kiss. 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 And the chant grew. Kiss. 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 Even the DJ cut the music. Even the chef popped a cork. Zara laughed, flushing. She glanced at Archer. He raised a brow. Well, he murmured. They're demanding it. She leaned in. Then let's give them a kiss they'll never forget. He pulled her close, hands cupping her jaw, and kissed her like a man rewriting history. It wasn't polite. It wasn't staged. It was real. Her arms wrapped around his neck, his mouth sinking into hers like he'd been waiting lifetimes to taste her again. Guests screamed. Cameras flashed. Champagne erupted like geysers in the background as Cassie lost her mind with glee and someone, probably Renzo, yelled, "Is this real?" Archer broke the kiss just enough to press his forehead to hers. His voice was low, hoarse, raw. "This time, it's real. And I'm not letting go." Fireworks exploded above the yacht, dazzling pinks and silvers painting the sky. Champagne sprayed across the deck, laughter echoing into the night. Zara held up her hand, not with a ring, but with the yacht keys, twinkling on a gold chain. Photos snapped. Videos went viral. Paparazzi headlines flashed within minutes. From shipwreck to soulmate, Zara and Archer anchor the internet's favorite love story. The Aegean pulled away from the dock once more. Not trapped. Not pretending. But free. Together. On the bow of the yacht, wind in her hair, Zara turned to Archer and whispered, "You really bought the whole yacht?" "No," he said, grinning. "I bought our future." Then he kissed her again. Slow-mo. Sparkles behind them. Sun setting in flames. And as the camera zoomed out over the glittering sea, Archer pulled her close and whispered one last line. "Anchor us forever." Bonus epilogue, The New Voyage. Zara stood in the lobby of the St. Regis, blinking away jet lag and press interviews. The book, Fake Love, Real Kiss, was now being adapted into a limited series. A-list casting. A $20 million production budget. The dream she never dared to write had, somehow, written her. She slipped into the private elevator. Archer had sent her a message. "Dress for wind. Meet me at the dock. Midnight." The Manhattan skyline glittered like a necklace across the harbor. And there she was. The Aegean. Only now, completely transformed. Refitted in ivory and gold. New sails. A gleaming compass etched with a single phrase. "Anchor us forever." The crew stood lined up on the dock, all in white. Smiling. Waiting. And at the top of the gangway, Archer. In a dark navy suit, no tie, one hand behind his back, the other reaching for her. "Permission to come aboard?" she asked, voice catching. "Not as a passenger," he murmured. "As my future." They didn't invite guests. No photographers. Just Zara. Archer. The sea. Cassie officiated, crying through her sunglasses. The captain played violin. A single white rose floated in a champagne flute between them. "You almost let me drown," Zara whispered during her vows. "And then I built you a kingdom that floats," Archer said back. They kissed as fireworks exploded off the side of the yacht. As the yacht slipped out of the New York harbor, champagne glasses clinking, the stars sparkling like paparazzi in the sky, Zara stood at the helm. Wearing a silk robe. A golden band on her left hand. And nothing else. Archer came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "Where to, Captain?" She smiled. "Anywhere but back."
Thanks for listening to Billionaire Romance Stories, where love meets luxury in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We love hearing your favorite twists and wild theories. And don't forget to ring that bell, because in this world of yachts, secrets, and steamy romance, the next story is always one scandal away.